in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Remember, this is the first ever visit to Papua New Guinea by an Indian Prime Minister. Prime Minister Modi arriving in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea, to co-chair the third Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit. These are the latest visuals from Port Moresby being received by the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Mr. James Marape. Let's stay on these visuals, and Ambassador Kumar, if you can walk our viewers through the significance of the visuals that we're seeing on our screens right now. Ambassador Kumar, are you with us? Well, I'm told my colleague Shubhendu Ghosh is with us. Shubhendu, walk our viewers through these visuals.
Right, these are absolutely historic visuals that we can see on our screen, Ramesh. This is the first time an Indian Prime Minister has arrived at Papua New Guinea. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reached Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea, welcomed by Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, James Marape. A unique honor when a Prime Minister of one country welcomes the Prime Minister of another. Talks about the new chapter in the friendship between India and Papua New Guinea. Those visuals coming in live from Port Moresby Airport. That's the capital of Papua New Guinea. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived at Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, and he now is proceeding towards the ceremonial welcome, Ramesh. The forces of Papua New Guinea are all set to provide a ceremonial welcome to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A historic day in the friendship between India and Papua New Guinea. The first time ever an Indian Prime Minister has arrived in the Pacific Island nation.
Indeed, as my colleague Shubhendu was saying, these are the latest visuals coming to you from Port Moresby, where as we speak, the PM is being given a ceremonial guard of honor. Let's listen in. Right, so those were the latest visuals from the ceremonial guard of honor for Prime Minister Modi after he landed moments ago in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea. And my colleague Shubhendu Ghosh is still with us. Shubhendu, looking ahead now, PM has arrived, and what should one expect in his engagements in Port Moresby overnight as well as tomorrow? Right, so the national anthems of both countries, India and Papua New Guinea, being played out at the ceremonial guard of honor for Prime Minister Narendra Modi upon his arrival in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea. Remember, this is the first ever visit to that country by an Indian Prime Minister. It's been a long time coming, but finally the moment has arrived, a watershed moment, some would say, in India's ties with the Southern Pacific region at large. Remember, Prime Minister Modi will co-chair the third Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit along with the host country's Prime Minister James Marape tomorrow on Monday, 22nd May. and we can expect more outcomes and deliverables going forward from that summit, as well as his bilateral talks on the margins of the summit as well. Right, going back across to my colleague Shubhendu. Shubhendu, important day ahead of us. Tomorrow the FIPIC summit will take place. Walk our viewers through some of the major issues that will be discussed at the summit, as well as on the margins of it.
Absolutely, Ramesh. And just before I update you on the big day tomorrow, as we speak, Prime Minister Narendra Modi observing the Guard of Honor at the Port Moresby Airport, that's the capital in Papua New Guinea. After the national anthems of both the nations were played, and Prime Minister James Marape of Papua New Guinea is present here as he welcomed Prime Minister into his country. The first time in India, Prime Minister visiting Papua New Guinea. Tomorrow, Ramesh, absolutely a big day. The third forum of India-Pacific Islands Cooperation meet. In the first to meet itself, the first time this forum met was in 2014, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to power. A particular emphasis on developing and nurturing relationship with the Pacific Island nation had been his vision, and that vision is taken forward now in many folds. India here is seen as a key development partner, Ramesh, and that relationship is expected to be taken forward both in a bilateral sense between India and Papua New Guinea, and also in a multilateral manner, where India participates and co-hosts, in fact, the forum for India-Pacific Islands Cooperation. Now, the focus, as Prime Minister also mentioned in his departure statement, is going to be on capacity building, on working towards the common goals such as climate change, common goals such as development of infrastructure, common goals such as creating disaster-resilient infrastructure, common goals such as enhancing connectivity, people-to-people ties. Let me also mention that, and may I pause, as the national anthem of India is played, Ramesh.
Right, so while we are getting these latest visuals again from the ceremonial Guard of Honor for Prime Minister Modi in Port Moresby, Shubhendu, do stay on. Let me bring in my guests back in the discussion, Ambassador Vinod Kumar and Ms. Shruti Pandalai. Ambassador Kumar, we just saw the visuals of PM Modi's arrival in Port Moresby. It's a historic moment, a watershed moment in India's ties with the Southern Pacific. In your estimation, how has the perception of India changed on the ground in the Southern Pacific Islands when you talk about the diaspora or development assistance, or generally India's ties with the region at large? Right, so viewers, if you're just tuning in, Prime Minister Modi has landed in Papua New Guinea. in what is a historic visit, the first ever by an Indian Prime Minister to Papua New Guinea in the Southern Pacific. My colleague Shubhendu Ghosh is with us. Shubhendu, we saw a warm welcome being accorded to Prime Minister Modi by none other than the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Mr. James Marape. In fact, the host country's Prime Minister touching Prime Minister Modi's feet, welcoming him to Papua New Guinea. Right, so if you're just tuning in, you're watching the live visuals coming to you from Port Moresby, where Indian Prime Right, so if you're just tuning in, you're watching the latest visuals coming to you from Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India has landed on what is a historic visit, the first ever by an Indian Prime Minister to that country. And he has just been given a traditional welcome at the airport there. My colleague Shubhendu Ghosh is with us. Shubhendu, we saw a historic visit by Prime Minister Modi landing in Port Moresby, and the welcome given to him by Prime Minister James Marape himself, touching the Prime Minister's feet and welcoming him to his country.
Absolutely, Ramesh. And just moments ago, we also saw the unique culture, special culture of Papua New Guinea on display, a special dance performance by the indigenous community welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Papua New Guinea. All the more special because this is the first time an Indian Prime Minister has landed on this Pacific island, taking forward the message of friendship and development. If I can just tell you about the schedule that Prime Minister has from here on, he would be heading now to his hotel, where a very, very special and high-octane welcome awaits him by the Indian diaspora. I was telling you earlier, it's a small community here in Papua New Guinea, but a very dynamic one, full of professionals from different walks of life, accountants, doctors, engineers, who are known to be making very important contributions to the socio-economic development of Papua New Guinea. And they've all been very excited. For them, it is a historic visit. The first time they will be able to welcome the leader of their country on this island. So in a moment from now, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi reaches his hotel, a very exuberant, excited and energetic crowd would be there to welcome Prime Minister. A lot of them had made posters and put up special messages to welcome Prime Minister. Those visuals should come to you as Prime Minister leaves now the airport towards his hotel. And tomorrow, of course, Ramesh, is a big day as the third FIPIC summit unfolds. We've seen in the first two FIPIC summits, the standards have been raised, the bar has been raised very high as far as development partnership of India with the Pacific Island nations is concerned. And tomorrow, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will co-host, India will co-host the FIPIC summit with the host Papua New Guinea, and 14 islands, Pacific Island nations leaders will be joining James Marape, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi as both these leaders host the Pacific Island nations. Time and again, Prime Minister has said that the foundation of this relationship between India and the Pacific Island nation rests on development partnership, rests on capacity building initiatives, rests on working and growing together. There's a lot of strengths that India brings to the table, a lot of important strengths, resources that Papua Guinea can share with the world. And India has been talking about a partnership which is a win-win partnership for both India, for Papua New Guinea, and the region as a whole, comprising the Pacific Island nations. And of course, given the geographical location, Ramesh, I'm talking about the significance that Indo-Pacific region has gained in the recent years. India's engagement with the Pacific Islands becomes all the more important. It is under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership that FIPIC, that is the Forum of India and Pacific Islands Cooperation, really took shape in 2014 after taking power. Prime Minister focusing India's diplomatic energy, diplomatic priorities towards the Indo-Pacific region, specifically in engaging with the Pacific Island nations, and the manner in which today India extending its Act East and Southern vision, working with the island nations, working towards their capacity building. And if I can tell you, there are diverse ways in which India engages with the Pacific Island nations in building their capacity, whether it's space sciences, space technology, education, healthcare, whether it's elections, introducing latest technologies, resources such as indelible ink or VVPAT, EVMs. India has been at the forefront of empowering these Pacific nations. We could go on as a list is longer, Ramesh.
Indeed, Shubhendu, do stay on. We'll keep coming back to you for more as we go along. These are the latest visuals coming to you from Port Moresby, where Prime Minister Modi has just been given a traditional welcome in true Papua New Guinean style. Remember, this is a historic visit, the first ever by an Indian Prime Minister to that country. And before we wrap up this special broadcast, let me go across to my guests who've been waiting patiently by, Ambassador Vinod Kumar and Ms. Shruti Pandalai. To you, Ambassador, first, your thoughts on the historic reception there accorded to him, and what we can expect going forward from his visit to Papua New Guinea. Your thoughts, Ambassador Kumar?
We should expect that there will be some major announcements coming out of the FIPIC summit.
Right.
And one cannot foresee what these would be, but I think this will be something that would cement our partnership going forward into the future. And I would say that our focus from the traditional area that I mentioned earlier, capacity building, it would go into newer areas of that affect the day-to-day lives as well as the future, the very existence of some of these countries. And as you have seen in the visuals say perhaps a million words. And you have seen the warmth which that has been accorded to our Prime Minister, and you can see the rapport between the two leaders. And this is something that would develop into a strong bond of our Prime Minister with the leaders of the Pacific, and that is would be good for the future of our relationship with the countries as well as the peoples of our countries. And I would also add here that while we are talking of FIPEX, we must also take into account that there are other countries of importance in the region. The relationship of the island countries is important, and that we have to take that into account, and we need to work together with like-minded countries. Thank you.
Absolutely. As Ambassador Kumar rightly pointed, between India and Papua New Guinea and the region in particular, he says India remains very much invested in the Southern Pacific, and that given the fact that Prime Minister Modi is one leader who invests a lot of time, energy and effort into establishing a personal rapport with world leaders, the chemistry, the warmth that we saw in his reception there, I think hold the two countries in good stead going forward as well. Coming to you now, Ms. Pandalai, your thoughts on the visit, how it's been progressed so far. And also my colleague there mentioned something very interesting to my mind. He says India has been raising the bar, and in the meantime we're getting these live visuals again back in Port Moresby of Prime Minister Modi interacting with the Indian diaspora there. Let's go live to those visuals from Port Moresby. Remember, Prime Minister Modi has landed in Papua New Guinea. He has just been given a ceremonial guard of honor and a traditional welcome at the airport, and now he is interacting with the Indian diaspora there. Remember, he is visiting Papua New Guinea to co-chair the 3rd Forum for India-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit, which will be held in Port Moresby tomorrow, Monday, the 22nd of May. The 3rd summit, the first was held in Fiji in 2014, the second at Jaipur in India in 2015. And this has been a trademark of
Bharat Mata ki!